How a manhole cover became the fastest man-made object ever. The United States started testing atomic weapons in 1945. The majority of them were first conducted above ground, but in the late 1950s, they transferred the enormous boom testing underground. According to Brownlee, the Pascal test was the first to attempt to confine radioactive fallout. The explosive was positioned at the base of a hollow column that was 485 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and covered in a 4-inch thick iron cap. A test was performed for the first time on August 27, 1957. They constructed a long, cylindrical hole in the earth, placed the explosive inside, and then filled it with a 2-ton concrete block and a 4-inch thick steel manhole cover. They proceeded to detonate the device like one would do. To their amazement, the concrete plug was promptly vaporized, becoming a ball of very hot gas that expanded and effectively turned the whole hole into a massive cannon barrel. The manhole cover was hit by the gas with a bang. It was instantaneously blasted off the ground, rocketed into the air, and vanished from view. Fortunately, this time there was a high-speed camera on the scene that recorded a view of the manhole cover as it quickly disappeared and returned to the little nuking of the ground. They were only able to capture the manhole cover in one frame from the camera's 1000 frames per second frame rate, which allowed them to mathematically determine the speed of the manhole cover's lower bound. We can determine the smallest distance the manhole cover could have gone between the time the previous picture was taken and the time this frame was shot by first examining where it was in the frame and then measuring the distance from there to the bottom of the frame. The scientist conducted the experiment. Dr. Brownlee took that information from the high-speed camera, combined it with calculations of the blast force from the explosive, did math things, and reported that the manhole cover had been moving at 6 times the Earth's escape velocity, which would put it at a speed of 6 miles per hour. However, the government has never released the video, and for some reasons. The world's first artificial satellite, Sputnik, which was widely publicized as the first artificial object to be launched into space in October 1957, is well known to most people. Despite this, a persistent urban legend maintains that Earth began shooting items into space earlier that year, by a manhole cover. The manhole covers that the general public is used to seeing are the ones that are used to cover city sewage drains to keep people out of utility vaults and shafts. However, a specialized manhole cover was developed about 7 decades ago with the intention of keeping something out rather than preventing it from going in. Whether the manhole cover entered space is a matter of debate. It would have burnt up as it left the atmosphere, while according to others, it may have been going too quickly for it to have had time to burn up. It would have been the first thing ever launched into space if it had made it there. Just over a month before Sputnik's launch on October 4, 1957, the experiment took place on August 27, 1957. No other item appears to have been able to match the manhole cover's speed as of right now while remaining inside the Earth's atmosphere. However, if space travel is included, the manhole cover has been defeated. Although Apollo 10, the fastest human spacecraft, would have been traveling more than 4 times as fast. The manhole cover's record for the fastest man-made object was first broken in the 1970s by NASA's Helios probes, and then again in 2016 by the Juno probe. In 1976, the Helios 2 probe broke the record for the fastest object ever built by humans. The probe was in an elliptical orbit around the Sun and was intended for solar research. It obeyed the conservation of angular momentum, so as it approached the Sun, it accelerated, reaching a maximum speed of 157,000 miles per hour. When the Juno space probe was dragged towards Jupiter's gravitational pull in 2016, it reached a speed of 165,000 miles per hour, breaking the previous record. It's important to note that both of those probes only attained those speeds by utilizing the gravity of the Sun or another planet, which feels a bit like cheating. In fact, it was moving so quickly that it had to apply the brakes in order to enter Jupiter's orbit rather than fly right past it. Scientists are still perplexed as to where the fabled manhole cover is right now. The most widely accepted explanation contends that the manhole cover was sent into space, when it would have arrived before Sputnik. Scientists wondered if the manhole cover would finally appear on the ground, but more than 50 years have passed and the concrete cap is still absent. Even though Dr. Brownlee has openly acknowledged that he is unsure of what exactly transpired with the manhole cover. He thinks that the metal must have broken down before reaching space. However, he said that it wouldn't be impossible for the manhole cover to fly into space based on his calculations. The location of the manhole cover utilized in Pascal B is still heavily contested. In all honesty, what actually occurred to the manhole cover after the Pascal B nuclear test may never be known.